Welcome back. This is YourTown. I'm Kierstyn Berlin. I'm continuing a conversation here with Theo Maehr. And I'd like to dive right into land stewardship and the consulting services that you're offering to the community. You offer a variety of services, fire mitigation, education, edible landscapes, and I think those are the primary focus.
The other is design and build your own home.
Right, and actually, I want to touch on this quickly because Vastu architecture. Can you talk about Vastu architecture, how you built your home a little bit, and why, and the impact that that's had on you? Because I do feel like that's an important piece that I don't feel like a lot of people talk about.
Sure. So Vastu architecture, it's also known as Stewart. It's a branch of the Vedas from India. And I got into transcendental meditation when I was in my 20s, ended up living in Fairfield, Iowa at a time when there was a lot of new information coming out. Mm-hmm. Ayurveda, mm-hmm. Stapachaveda, mm-hmm. Jyotish, all these wonderful things about how to create a healthy life for yourself. And I was really struck by the homes that I was watching be built in Fairfield, the construction materials, the techniques, and the designs themselves. Walking into a Vastu home had an entirely different quality of feeling to it than anything else I had ever experienced before. I immediately would have a sense of ease, mm-hmm. like I had walked into some beautiful natural setting.
I'd like to just jump in real quick and give people some background to Vedic, because not everybody knows what Vedic is, but the Vedic Traditions is also the origin of the yoga practice, which is more mainstream and more commonly known. But the Vedics predate in that Asian area, predate India and what we know as India.
The Vedas were supposedly the books of truth.
Right, and they are one of the oldest recorded medical systems, architecture systems that we know of as far as what we've found. I think it's estimated from 5,000 to 10,000 years, the things that we've found in that. And I have heard that, in a way to kind of bring it to what people might know about, like Feng Shui, I've heard that Feng Shui sort of stemmed from the Vedic Vastu culture, that the Vastu was actually the origin of that. And so Vastu has to do with creating homes or creating your environments with a sensitivity to the directions, to the sun, to the planets, to the elements, and so I just wanted to articulate that because most people don't know what Vastu is. So.
Yeah, it's to create an indoor environment that's healthy for the individuals that are living within it.
And there's an integration too with the spirit world, I would say, the spirituality component.
There is.
Yeah.
And that, I think, the connection in a Vastu home is through the Brahmastan, which is a place of silence within the center of the house.
Mm-hmm. So each of the there's four directions plus the center, so they represent, right, there's sort of this space, and then you have water, fire, earth, air,
yes,
and then ether. And
yes.
so the different directions of the home represent these elements, and the Brahmastan is that spirit or ether element,
yes.
Correct? Right, and it always has to be empty. It's
the one thing that bringing it back to the practical is almost everybody that walks into my home stops for a moment. They sort of take a deep breath and they're amazed by what they've walked into.
It's relatively simple.
It's very simple. There was one day where I had a mother and daughter came up, and the girl was probably 7 or 8 years old, and she asked if she could walk around my house, and of course I said, sure, go ahead, just close doors and put things back. So she spent about 10 or 15 minutes walking through my home and comes back down and says to her mom, "Mom, when we build our house, this is the way it needs to be built. And she went over all
The different
these
characters.
Vastu design details.
Right.
She just pegged it right
Mia
from the
did-
very beginning.
Mia did that as well. The 8-year-old girl that came up this summer when we did the
Yes.
collective. She identified
That's
all
what
the
I was
Vastu
talking
features.
about.
Oh, right. Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah. So the interesting thing in having created this business with all of these different services, one, it's not just consulting. This business we will design your home for you, we will build it for you, we'll create the edible landscaping around it, we'll help educate a property owner and their children of the native species that inhabit the land with them, both plant and animal. And it's drawing from our community of professionals.
Right.
And not any one person can do it all. And the wonderful thing about this area that we live in, Monterey Peninsula, Big Sur, is the people that are here, so many of them are here because it's a beautiful place to live. They love the planet and they want to do whatever they can to make things right on the planet. So we have a lot of really amazing people, professionals that are oriented already in this direction of stewarding the land, creating beautiful homes from natural materials, upcycling materials, developing resources in such a way that we are enhancing the environment, not only for ourselves, but for the rest of the life around us as well. Again, if this were our focus as a human race, to actually orient our actions so that they not only benefit ourselves, but we are conscious of the effects that we're having for the rest of the life on the planet, and orient our actions so that we are enhancing the environment for the rest of the life, this would be an incredible planet to live on.
Right. So you're offering your expertise, your consulting services, and you're also saying, I have these partnerships and alliances and community members that also can contribute so greatly to the specifics of whatever that person is sort of wanting to develop in their life and on their property, in their home design, whatever it may be. So
yes, the one part is actually creating in our material world. And the other component that is near and dear to me is the educational component, and attempting to influence people in the direction of stewardship. And that educational process can be done in a one-to-one relationship, in a school setting, in a group setting, in a lecture setting, and I'm open to coming in and sharing stories with people and techniques in whatever capacity I can. I am also attempting to finish a book that I've been working on for quite some time about my whole process of creating my home up on Long Ridge.
Right.
And I've toyed with the title being a little off because I think that's what it has taken to actually do what I've done. But I'm orienting more toward calling the book The Earth Steward, because that's really more what it's about.
So Theo, can you talk about the fire mitigation part of your consulting?
This is a really important aspect of my offering.
It's unique.
And as we have experienced in the last few years here in California, as the world population is experiencing more and more, fire is becoming a pretty big threat as our climate seems to warm. Creating a situation where your property is not going to burn in a fire saves so much. It saves resources, it saves having to rebuild, it keeps insurance costs down, hopefully, and hopefully it creates an oasis, a safe refuge for the wildlife that's inhabiting the area with you. So there's a lot of things that we can help landowners, homeowners do to create situations where they're not going to lose everything in a fire. And having lived through the Sobrani's fire, having spent 6 years as a firefighter, I feel like I have a lot to contribute.
Right, and it's much
to
needed.
This topic.
Great. So I want to, because listing services and listing concepts is helpful, but I want to just talk about how I've experienced this dynamic with you in a very, just as an experience, an actual experience. You and I have been working with a youth group. We did a pilot program last summer. We're also involved in a nonprofit together.
Community palette.
Right, it's a community palette that helps to support these kinds of concepts that we talk about. And so I just want to talk about that experience of, we came up to your land with a group of young people, 13 to 18, and they got to experience being on the land, doing different activities on the land. You have it set up in a way where there's horses, they rode horses. There's a place where they were able to, a space where they were able to do yoga, move their bodies. So there's an open room that is very flexible to different uses. That's overlooking gorgeous madrones and peaks of the ocean, and it's just incredible. They were a part of cultivating your edible landscapes, learning about your edible. You have bees. You have you have your horses, which is not necessarily part of the edibles, but then you have the different plants and orchards.
A lot
olives.
of trees.
So, the olive oil that you have on your property is olives that you have pressed from your property, and we go out and eat a meal at your place. We go into the gardens, we pick, the kids learn about the plants, they come into the kitchen, they cook. They were hacking up their own firewood for the wood-burning stove, which is heating our water. They're learning about the water system that's coming into your house, how to maintain it, how to be conservative. So just an example of that experience of being on your property, the kids coming up there, the way that property is able to support them with the community kitchen and the bathroom, and the open space and the horses, and then obviously the trails they were able to explore, we walked through the trails and talked about all the plants that were there that we could eat. We talked about the Vastu architecture. We talked about the fires and how we built towards the fires. So just being on that property and spending a day in your property may not mean much to you at this point in your life because you built it, but it's an incredible education experience just even spending a day there or a couple days there. And the foods that you're eating, you feel a difference in your body. It's like you're eating healthier there. You're connected with what you're doing. It's an incredible experience. You're learning to eat plants that you never thought were edible, that you see every day, So I think just articulating that experience that I've had with you, working with young people, really demonstrates this gift that you have to give to the community, and also in your effort to really support. You really make an effort to support other people and their gifts and what they contribute. You really always show up to support people when they need to, like when Wakar's house filled with mud, you were there, help shoveling it out. You really also embody this quality of showing up and serving the community. So can you remind me your website and how people can find you online? And
Yes, my website is theearthsteward.com, and it is in process. I'm building the website up. I'm starting a blog. There'll be educational videos on rain catch systems and gray water systems. And though the business that I'm offering is oriented to our community, Big Sur and the Monterey Peninsula, the information that will be there will be helpful for people anywhere. Right. And I will try to create as many links as I can to other professional people that can offer services, but also just people that are doing stewardship activities around the world, hopefully.
Right. So it's a resource for anyone. It's
a resource for anyone. I think there's some offerings that are really quite key, but the main goal of what I'm offering is to help people make the choices the healthy choices to create a good situation for themselves, a nourishing situation for themselves, and the rest of the life that they're sharing their landscape with.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I just think you're such a gift to this community. I'm so happy to share you on this program. And
Thanks,
we'll
Kierstyn.
continue the conversation.
We will.
Thanks, Theo.
Thanks, Kierstyn.